Yo, and welcome back to the Banter Boys podcast. My name is Sanji. With me is Ras. How you doing, boy?
Welcome.
Ras and Sanji in the morning.
Yeah, man. We're recording in the morning today. 9 o'clock. And 9 o'clock for you, too. In the morning, so.
This is just preparation for, when I move. So, in some sort of sensible timing with different time zones and all that sort of jazz. So, yeah, things had to be done.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm sober drunk, Usually I have a beer next to me, but now I've got this tall ass cup of coffee next to me and I still feel like I'm half asleep. So if we speak any gibberish on the pod, I apologize in advance.
Yeah, exactly.
You said you went to go watch a movie last night. Which movie did you watch?
Shang-Chi.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was really good. There is a little bit of a treat for Liverpool fans. If anyone has seen it, you probably know what I'm talking about. I'm not gonna say anything more. But yeah, it was a pretty good watch. I've seen Simu Liu in or Shimu Liu in Kim's Convenience since when it first came out. So I'm like, oh man, this such a great personality and stuff. He was on the Raptors winning bus with Jeremy Lin and stuff. Represents the city and the country pretty hard. So good for him.
So interesting story. I think it's a 1 degree connection. Is that how that works? So one of my mates who I did a 8-month co-op term with. We're good friends and everything like that. That's his best friend. So I saw this guy posting on Facebook he's on the red carpet at Shang-Chi, looking like a dollar store Thor. I'm so sorry, Peter, that I call you a dollar store Thor, but I mean that's the way he kind of looked. But
that is pretty savage.
I was like, yo, 1 degree connection. So Simu's like my boy. He just don't know it yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, apparently he was 2 years senior to me when I was at Western. So, I don't know if I actually saw him or whatever, but he was there when I was there. So.
I know, small world, yo, small world. All right, before we get started, Ross, do you want to remind listeners how they can find us and share our beautiful podcast?
For sure. So you can message us on Twitter and Instagram. This is mostly for you, Andres, at BantaB. You can catch us on Discord and the Draft PL channel, BantaBoys #6585, and on Reddit, u/Banta_boys. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, YouTube, and much more, all under the name of Banta Boys.
So, listeners, welcome to episode number 63. We usually record middle of the week just to get a good idea of what the cups are going like and, updates on injuries and stuff. And we are mainly a Fantrax draft podcast. And sometimes we dabble in some OFPL questions because we've got listeners and fans in that environment as well. So, just a quick breakdown. In the first half, we're going to do a data dump, just recap how the last game week went. Go over how we did in our leagues, any, special moves we might have made, maybe trades that we received. We'll go through some Twitter questions. And in the second half, we will do some injury updates and then suggest some hot Game Week 7 free agent and waiver picks for you to help you win your matchups. But again, before we get down to business, we like to just, catch up with each other, talk a little bit of shit. Russ, can we just talk about Chunks' transformation?
Yeah, man. Good for him. I see some of his old clips kind of pop up on Instagram and stuff and kind of seeing him post on the stories now, right? For those who don't know who Chunks is a social media personality. He did a show with a bunch of guys called the Sidemen. It's really big in the UK. And then I think he just kind of built his personality, got connected with the right media personalities and sports personalities. The big thing that why I kind of follow him is that he's super close with the very up and coming, or not even up and coming, but the super popular young English talent. So the likes of Mason Mount, James Maddison, Ben Chilwell, Hamza Chaudhry, all these people he's super close with. There's that one video where him and Mason Mount are playing FIFA and the bet is like, if I score, if I win, you have to put on like a Chelsea shirt and like, post it on Instagram and stuff. So where Mason Mount, like, Chunks misses a chance from Timo Werner, and Mason Mount goes like, "Oh, I've never seen that before," in a very sarcastic manner. So that's one of the reasons why I kind of follow him, because he's super close, and you kind of see like how he hangs out with these guys, and how like he really does surpass that banter or like that rivalry thing. Because I remember once he was cheering for, who was it? He was cheering for Mason Mount when they were out for England, or when he scored in the Champions League, when Mason Mount scored in the Champions League, and he cheered for him. And then there's Arsenal, because he's an Arsenal fan. There's Arsenal fans commenting, "Why are you cheering for your rival?" And he goes like, "Bro, these are my friends, and these are like, I've seen these guys play when they kind of grow up, right?" So I really like that kind of side to him as well, is that he really surpasses that, like, that rivalry, and does it for like, because he likes the game, and he knows these players and stuff.
One of the boys, for sure. And he was in Canada recently, right? I think you tried to run into him.
I tried to run into him. He went to like 2 or 3 places where I've frequented sometimes. So like I was like, "Oh, I know that place." If I was in Toronto, I would just like rush over there. Wouldn't even like kind of think about it. But yeah, apparently every once in a while he'll do like Instagram questions on Instagram, and people like, "When you come to Toronto next, and when you come to Toronto next." So I guess it's a thing.
Yeah. Okay. So just quick shout out to Alan St. Maximin for being both one of the most entertaining footballers ever and having one of the best Twitter accounts ever. I sent you his quoted tweet of the FIFA video. Man was upset that Steve Bruce had apparently a quicker, I guess, pace, value, whatever, than ASM.
Yo, man, it's that legend status.
It really is, yo. So intramurals are starting for you soon as well.
Oh, they already started, bro.
Oh, how many games have you played?
We've played 1 game. I'm not gonna share the result.
Oh, you have to. You have to.
Oh man. So like we overestimated our own quality as a team, and the team that we went up against at halftime, the score was 8-0. And the team captain comes up to us. He goes like, "Hey, do you want to just like mix around the teams and like play together? We'll we'll stop the scoring here, so it's not, anything bad." And we're like, "Man, we would really appreciate it." We were missing Sajjan. So like it does, we were missing Sajjan, and we were missing Neeraj. We shit talk Neer so much. Let's just give him a shout out too. So we were missing both, and Zen as well. So we only had 1 sub. But 8-0 at halftime, and then essentially getting like a mercy loss was kind of a blessing. We're like, "Oh shoot, maybe we are overestimated what we can do."
What level is this?
Intermediate.
Okay. At Waterloo, or it's just public?
No. It's just public.
No.
It's one of those Toronto leagues.
I mean, Sajjad is a massive loss for any squad. We know how talented that boy is. And yeah, Neeraj for sure, he is definitely one of those forwards there you might take for granted, he's a bit of a sneaky character on the field.
Yeah, and he runs a lot.
And Zayn also runs a lot. I mean, he complains a lot, but he also runs a lot. So, and he, for a small guy, he's got a bit of pace on him. So, But it's just funny that when you talked about Zayn, you were like, "Yeah, and we only had 1 sub. So is Zayn supposed to be like a sub?"
No, it was like, we just had Zayn wasn't there, so.
And you've got kits as well, right?
Yeah, we've got kits as well. So we did old ghetto, put tape on the back of shirts and like kind of trace them out to like do the numbers and stuff.
What's your number?
4.
Why 4?
I've always liked 4 is my favorite number. But now I'm also playing defense, and like Big Verge, who's also number 4, it kind of works out that way too.
I hope you didn't get nutmegged in that 8-0, eh?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. That's the most important. That's a win right there. So I want to talk a little bit about fantasy burnout. You renewed the NBA league, I'm not sure if I'm going to play because if I do, I'll be managing 11 fantasy teams across 6 different platforms. In fact, I've got to set one like in a few minutes. IPL is going to start in half an hour, so I've got to set that team as well. I mean, in my defense, the reason I'm keeping up with the IPL one is I think there's over a million managers playing the game, and I'm currently sat just outside the top 2,000 in the world.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's a little tempting to kind of want to keep up with it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, all the sponsorship, corruption aside, it's still fun to watch, But let's move on to Spurs being absolute trash. Sorry. They're getting thrashed.
They're getting thrashed, yeah.
But yeah, Spurs are absolute trash. And do you want to maybe discuss some of the stats that you posted in the group?
Yeah, so I think this was posted during or after the Arsenal game, where these are the season stats per game in the Premier League this season. So shots 9.2, which is ranked 20th. Chances from open play 5.4, ranked 20th. Shots faced, which is number 18, which is ranked 19th. And I'm assuming that's like the higher the number of shots faced, the lower your rank is, right? So they're also on the bottom of that. And distance covered 99.9, only 20th. I think even Lucas Moura went out and goes bro, we can play so much better than this. And we're playing this rudimentary football, just punting the ball up and hoping for the best.
Yeah, you think Nuno might be the first manager to go?
I don't know. It's always Ole that kind of gets the brunt of the media. Is Ole, is he worth it? Some fans are also they signed 2 big players or 3 big players and now, he's not doing as well. So apart from that, I don't know. Let's see how it kind of goes. Everyone thought it'd be Mikel Arteta, but I guess not.
And now Arsenal are ahead of Spurs in the table. It's funny how a few wins can change your fortunes, yo.
Yeah.
Last thing I want to cover is just a couple of other cup competitions. So I think last time we recorded what was it? FA Cup? Capital One Cup?
Mm-hmm.
Coca-Cola Cup? Some cup that we play in that, gets decided early in the season.
Yeah.
But we are facing Southampton at home and you guys have Preston North End away. Confident on that, Ross? You think you can beat Preston North End?
Hopefully. I think this is the first time where it's happened that all the top 6 are playing Premier League competition and we're not.
Ooh.
In a while, at least.
So you're guaranteed to lose, basically.
Yeah. Exactly. Way to put it like that.
It's too easy. That's what it is. Okay, and quick Champions League recap. Did you manage to catch Porto 1, Liverpool 5?
No, I didn't. I was working, but poor Porto, unnecessarily gets thrashed by Liverpool every time in the Champions League. Whenever we play Porto, we love just scoring goals. What is it? I think we've scored 14 goals against them in the last 3 away games.
Yeah.
And we've played them 9 times in the Champions League and we've always remained undefeated. I think it's 6 wins and 3 draws or something. So I feel bad for Porto. They're always a pretty solid team, but we just like playing against them regardless of when we play them.
Yeah, and 2 players I thought had really solid games, Curtis Jones and Andrew Robertson. And I think you've got some interesting stats about them.
Yeah, so Andy Robertson,
Andy Robertson. Oh,
he's been
Andy. Sorry, I just had to sing
it. He's had a couple of bad games, but then people have been oh, Simicast should start because he's having a great fantasy season or whatever. But this was his game last night. 98 touches, 61 passes with an accuracy of 88.4, 1 clearance, 2 interceptions, 2 tackles, 1 last man tackle, 6 out of 8 ground duels won, 3 chances created, 2 big chances created, and this doesn't really matter, but an 8.28 who scored rating. And then for Curtis Jones, he also had a great game. Apart from the 2 assists and the 3 or the +1 with the fantasy assist, 90 touches, 89 pass accuracy, 7 duels won, 4 shots, 4 takes on, 4 long balls attempted, 3 chances created, 2 fouls won, and 2 assists.
Yeah, Curtis Jones was on fire, yo. This man's not afraid to pull the trigger at all. So I know we talked about it on the last pod, but we're probably going to talk about it when we get to like waiver picks and stuff. Curtis Jones might be that pick to ride you out, for the next few game weeks. Especially with T-Baby out. Oh my God, sad face. Sad face. All right, cool. Last point on the cup stuff is Man City lost 2-0 to PSG, and Messi loves scoring against Manchester City.
Yeah, great goal too.
Oh, I didn't even see the goal. I was busy watching Sheriff tear apart Real Madrid.
Yeah, with that Trinidadian.
Yeah, yo. Keston Julian, big up, yo. The man came on as a substitute, but don't worry, playing out of position and thing. Anyways, I think it's time for us to get down to business. Ross, shall we run through the data dump?
Yeah, go for it.
Ay. Fantasy with the Banta boys.
Okay, so looking at key passes, Bruno leads the way with 10. Oh, by the way, before I continue, did you see the match of the day 2 ending? They totally roasted Bruno. So
what, because of his penalty miss?
Yeah, so they basically ran like a NASA video, edited perfectly, like it was Bruno's football was the rocket going into space, and they did like the countdown and everything like that, and it was hilarious. I'll send it to you after. Anyone can get match of the day 2, just watch the ending. It is worth it, trust me, especially if you severely dislike Manchester United. I don't want to use the word hate, hate is such a strong word.
Yeah, hate is such a strong word.
Exactly. So Bruno Fernandes leads the way with 10 key passes in this game week. Then the next tier is 5 by Alan Saint-Maximin and Tielemans. Then 4 key passes. We've got a 4-way tie between Antonio, Phil Foden, Ademola Lookman, new addition at Leicester, and Ozan Tufan. He's one of the midfielders at Watford. Though I wouldn't recommend you go pick him up because Cisco is constantly rotating those midfield options with Tom Cleverley, etc., etc. Then we look at shots and how many of those were on target. Leading the way is Mason Greenwood. He attempted 8 shots, but only 2 of them were on target. Then we've got Michail Antonio, who attempted 7 shots, having 3 of them on target. Then the next tier, we've got 6 shots attempted. Harvey Barnes had 1 of them on target. Bruno had 0 of them on target. That's pretty damning, man. And then Pogba also attempted 6 shots, but only had 1 on target. Jamie Vardy, 3 shots on target of the 6 attempted. Yo, Jamie Vardy has started the season hot, and as always, people keep doubting, the man's old, etc., etc. But is he possibly the English Cristiano Ronaldo?
Exactly. When Cristiano Ronaldo came in, my main comparison was like, look at Vardy. If Vardy can still score in this league and still find ways, so can Cristiano Ronaldo. Does Vardy's shots include his own goal?
Oh, I didn't even think of that. I don't think it would, right? Because it's a shot on your own goal.
I don't think it does. Yeah.
You're just making fun of the boy.
It was a joke.
You're so funny. Okay, so the last tier of shots attempted is 5. Benrahma had 1 on target, Kane had 1 on target, and Tielemans had 0 of those on target. It surprised me that Kane actually had 5 shots. I didn't realize Spurs had the ball that much.
Yeah, but it was like just shoot from wherever, right?
That makes sense. So from midfield, basically.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. So then finally we look at accurate crosses into the box. The highest number being 3 this game week, attempted by Bruno Fernandes and Pascal Gross, who's fit and back in the Brighton squad. Then the final tier is 2 accurate crosses into the box. Those are by Diago Dolo. I hope I didn't butcher both names there. Jordan Henderson, James MacArthur of Crystal Palace, Reguilon of Spurs, Matt Ritchie from Newcastle, Andy Robertson from Liverpool, and Tierney from Arsenal. All right, now I think what we can do... Actually, before I move on to the next section, your boy Jordan Henderson is starting to pop up in the key passes and accurate crosses sections now. So definitely a proper pick moving forward, I think.
Yeah, of course, right? I told you, like, he's hungry for goals and assists, it seems, getting involved in the attack. And we've, seen glimpses of it, right? But now he's, pushing forward more. I think it's because there's no like a player like Genie who like pushes the ball forward, or like a player like Thiago who can kind of find the passes in between. So I think that's where Henderson really kind of comes up.
Yeah, Henderson had a couple pops at goal and stuff last night. It was good showing, man, for sure. He got the early sub as well, so you assume that he's rested, etc. But we'll discuss Liverpool later on in the pod.
Yeah.
I think now's the perfect time for us to do our league catch-ups. Russ, do you want to get us started? Maybe let us know how your game week went and if you made any sort of interesting moves or you're disappointed about any parts of your squad that you're having doubts with replacing, etc. So yeah, take it away.
So I'll start with the banter boys. Start low. I ended up losing to your street neighbor.
Yeah,
right, Sanjeev?
big up Nicolan, yo. So this guy is basically one of my neighbors. He's like the world's greatest physiotherapist, up and coming. Guys, shout out to him. I knew this kid since he was like in his Pampers, yo. We used to be playing football on the street barefoot together and stuff. He was like half my height. Now he's like twice my height. He's like crazy ass tall, yo. But yeah, awesome guy, Arsenal fan. Hit him up on Twitter. I don't have his handle, but DM me for it if you want.
Yeah, so I lost him. He had the highest score. I had the second highest score. Unfortunate. I was hoping on Tarek Lamptey to play to hopefully get me some points, but he didn't play, and it kind of ended like that. So it was I lost 138 to 122. My main worry about that team is my defense, but I feel like and some of my midfield picks like, Pulisic and Hakim Ziyech and what to do with both of them. But but I'm at a point where I can put a starting lineup out, especially when my defense kind of comes back, because I had like Johnny Evans and Tarek Lamptey and neither of them played. So hopefully one of them plays because Trent might be out for the game over the weekend. But my main result is kind of my OG league, and Sanji, like I told you, like I'm on some somehow my luck always kind of balances out, right? So game week
it's
started.
Probably because you help an old lady cross the street like every week. I think it's just building good karma at this point.
So my game week started out with my opponent Zuben, who had Cancelo with the assist and clean sheet, Gab Jesus with the goal, Emi Martinez with the 16 points, Pogba with 10 points, just, getting 10 points because of doing
Pog's things, yeah.
Exactly. He had Cornet who went off, but scored, right? Pinnock was on my bench. So I had 15 points from Pinnock and he was on my bench, and Trent didn't even get for any of the 3 goals. Trent didn't get involved for any of them, right? So I'm like, okay, my luck is finally turned around. I was undefeated in this league and it's turning around. And then Sunday rolls up. And of all 5 goals that were scored on Sunday, I had a player involved. Jimenez scored. Saka scored. Alba scored. Saka assisted. And Reguilon assisted. So all 5 of those goals, I had a player involved. And I was like, and then I went from losing 70 to 25 to winning 131 to 100 points. Basically, my Sunday just kind of lit it up, and I'm like, wow, that's I don't know how that happens, but like I said, I'm riding my luck as much as I can. Fantasy is mostly luck based, so I'm rolling with the punches, ending up with the highest score in that league, and then solid, good, even the band points in which I lost, I had the second highest score, but I went up against the highest, so I'm not super worried. It's only been 6 game weeks, 7 game weeks, so things will balance out.
Yeah,
so,
good signs moving forward for sure, man. That's awesome to hear. Okay, so I think we'll catch up on the Banter Boys team and how they're doing in the community leagues, etc. So in the DPL Community League, in the Champions Cup, it turns out I almost drew in both my league and the cup, but because of stat adjustments, I ended up losing by 1 point in my cup game.
Ooh.
Yeah. So it's 1 win, 2 losses. We move. There's a bunch of more matchups coming because it's home and away fixtures and it's a group of 6. So I can easily kind of bounce back, I think. Let's see how it goes. But in the league, in the Traore Triad League, yes, I had a draw. 107.25 points each. Mate, whoa. I was sitting down there with my squad completed. He brought in, I think, Lewis Dunk for Solly March and was basically 7.5 points down or something like that. So I was like, mad squeaky bum time, just staring at the phone like, yo, let the game end, man. Let the game end. Like, I'm ahead by 2 points. I'm ahead by 1 point. Oh, shit, it's drawn, yo. Okay, you know what? I've accepted the loss. But yeah, stat corrections were kinder to me in the league. I'll take that draw happily, right? Because it keeps me in 4th place on 13 points. First place is on 18 points. A little bit of a gap starting to develop. He's undefeated, but I'm hoping he finally gets his first loss coming up. Let's see how it goes. I might have been a bit too bold with my triple Arsenal defense. I think I got a little too cocky. I had Tierney, Ramsdale, and Ben White. And you know what? It's so, typical of me. Don't take my own advice. There was a bunch of Everton defenders free that I could have picked up against Norwich for that easy clean sheet. Seal that in the bag. No, I was like, you know what? Spurs are shit. They're not going to score. And lo and behold, Heung-min Son scores and destroys my clean sheets. That's like a -6 hit, right? Because it's a goal conceded, 3 players. Yeah, that wasn't fun to like absorb. But it doesn't help that my first pick is also injured in that league, Mason Mount. So
that sucks.
Yeah, and you know what? It's the case in the other league as well because I've got T-Bebe in the International Genie League. He's also injured, but yeah, we'll get to that in a bit. I did make one change though. I dropped Ben White. I picked up Charlie Taylor on the waivers. I'm going to try and listen to my advice and play against the Norwich team. I feel like anyone Burnley related might be a good asset to kind of punt on this game week. So jumping across to the Genie League, the cup fixtures don't start until game week 8 because we got that by being one of the top 8 teams in 120 teams. But the league, Sunday League, for me went a lot smoother. 125 points to 79.25 points. Easy win. Still tied first right now, but I'm, in that first spot because I've got a really healthy points for score, close to like 100 almost of a lead. And I'm playing one of the guys who's tied on first with me next game week. So, there's a chance to kind of push another rival down. So, yeah, fingers crossed for that. Yo, picking up Jordan Henderson for Lucas Moura worked an absolute gem. I'm really happy with that move, though Lucas Moura still put up, around 7-ish points, ghost points. So,
yeah, 8.5 points or something, yeah.
So it's still decent mid option. It was tough for me to drop him, but honestly, my team is so stacked in that league. I had no other choice. And the choice was between him or Moutinho. And I kept Moutinho because of the set pieces. And I feel like you're just more short of starts, etc. Because Steven Bergwijn might be back, and that could be rotation issues for Lucas Moura.
Mm-hmm.
So the other league I want to touch upon is the Perfect 11 League. It's basically like FPL, but on Fantrax. If anyone has loved FPL, I think you'll love Perfect 11. Even though it started since Game Week 1, I'm not sure if you can pick it up and now message the guys out there. But yeah, we kind of had a drop though from 31st down. We had a drop from 23rd down to 31st. And that might be because I picked quadruple Liverpool defense against the Brentford team.
Oh.
Yeah, that didn't work too well. And I had Cristiano Ronaldo. I think he also did fuck all in that game against Aston Villa. I had Dwight McNeil, who interestingly enough plays now on the right when Cornet plays on the left. So that's one thing.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, one thing to kind of keep an eye on, right? I don't know if that kind of affects his output. Who knows? And the final thing is, I don't think there's a final thing. Yeah, that might be it. Okay, I think now what we can do is move on to the Twitter questions.
So, first question, and finally, Andreas asked us the question on Twitter. Thank you, Andreas, for asking us the question on Twitter. We know, we love you, but sometimes it's just, good having fun like that. Andreas asked, Alonso for VVD, is that a good deal?
So, I think we answered him in the WhatsApp group, but we'll discuss it again. So, 2 things. I think if it's 1-for-1 and you don't have Chilwell, yes, go for VVD. I think he starts more games, gets more minutes. He might not have the attacking potential of Marcos Alonso, but his ghosties and the work that he does in the back, I think regardless if he concedes a goal or not, he's going to score closer to 10 points than to 0 points, I want to say. Like, the clean sheet tends to be a bonus that pushes him up into double digits, for sure.
Yeah.
And the other thing I was saying is that if you can maybe get Chilwell, I would keep Marcos Alonso and maybe just keep that sort of handcuff, because we've seen the Chelsea defense can, keep clean sheets. Maybe with Trent out, I don't know if that affects the Liverpool backline in any way, but Ross, maybe you can comment on that a bit more.
I don't think so. I think we saw it against Crystal Palace where when Milner kind of slotted it in and played that right back role. Again, it was Crystal Palace, but, it's still kind of going up against Zaha, right? And yeah, like for me, Alonso plays until then, once he's dropped, he's not going to come back in the team, right? So either you ride it high and not depend on him as your main defender, or you try to make sure there's a contingency plan for if he does get dropped, and the most appropriate replacement would be Ben Chilwell. For me, my Liverpool bias is that like you said, Van Dijk is a near tier 1 defender, and Liverpool, apart from that Brentford game, Liverpool have shown up, their defense has really shown up so far, right, this season. And I think Man City and Chelsea have just less goals conceded, but then Liverpool are still top of the league and are still showing their defense that they had in 2018, 2019, and 2019, 2020. So VVD was a big integral part of that. So if you can get VVD, I think that's a good deal.
Yeah, because we have to see how the lineups are against Juventus, right? If Alonso starts tonight, I have this weird gut feeling that Chilwell might get the Southampton game and the easier fixtures moving forward, just to kind of build his confidence back as a player. Okay, so Andres, thanks again for the question. Mate, just post your questions on Twitter. You don't have to DM us all the time. That's all I'm saying, Mr. Question Master. All right, next question.
Alex had 2 questions. The first question was, will Sheriff make it out of their Champions League group?
Hey, Sheriff Tiraspol, I love everything about this storyline. Did you see their club logo as well? It looks like a Sheriff badge.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. And there's a Trinidadian playing on it. So I think we pulled up the group. I think it was in our Banter Boys admin group, right? Mm-hmm. So currently the standings for that group, I believe Sheriff is comfortably in first with 6 points.
Yep.
Who is second in that group?
Inter?
I want to say, actually, Real Madrid is second. They have 1 win, right? They're 1 loss to Sheriff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then Inter is in third, tied with Shakhtar, who's in fourth. They have 1 point each.
Yep.
Yo, there's a very good chance for Sheriff to make it out of the group. I think they will.
Yeah, 2 wins, especially against Real Madrid, does boost your confidence up, right? And you're underdogs at this point. You play you've got no expectations, and you score screamers in the last minute.
Yeah, what a goal to win it, bro. It's funny because that's the sort of goals that you see Real Madrid players scoring, like Gareth Bale, etc.
Exactly. Exactly.
That was just so sweet to see. All right. Thanks again, Alex, for your question. I think he's got another one.
Yeah, he's got another one. So Alex asking, will Firmino come back in the starting 11 and will it be at the expense of Jota?
Ross, take it away.
At the start of the season, I was pretty hopeful that he would come back in the start of the season because I think, Sanjay, you said it best last time, is that Firmino plays for Mane and Salah, whereas Jota plays with Mane and Salah. And I think that accurately describes kind of his role in the team. He came on from the sub against Porto and scored 2 goals. And it was he's obviously showing some of that form that he had before last season. And I don't think he displaces Mane and Salah at the moment. If anything, it's Jota, but it's about what's the best appropriate kind of game, right? I think against City, I really wanna see him play. He is gonna do a great job breaking down that back line and playing Mane and Salah a lot more. And I think he does it better than Jota. And because he was on the bench now, I think he might start against City and hopefully he kind of tears it up. So if anything, it will be at the expense of Jota, but against Brentford, we did see the front 4 playing, right? Curtis Jones came off and Firmino came on and they were playing a 4-2-4 almost. And it kind of, bit them in the ass for they did concede that third goal instead of honing down that, or stabilizing that midfield. But I think that's also very much a possibility. So unless you can get Thiago and Hendo playing and you can probably play him in a cam role, I think Klopp maybe just sticks with 4-3-3 at the moment and uses that to and Firmino, depending on the team, depending on how much you want to break down like the defense, I think Firmino will do a good job of that.
And something I also notice is that when all four of those attacking options play, Jota tends to push further away from goal, like out wide or a bit deeper into midfield. So does that maybe potentially decrease the value of Jota as well, or are you still comfortable holding? Because he still had a couple of good chances on goal last night, just struggled to put them away as usual.
Yes, you're right. He does move away, and like I think his best value is his ability to find like space in the box, whether that's from a cross or that's kind of like like a trailing run or anything. So you're right there, but it's like 4-2. I don't think he plays that 4-2-3-1 formation at that often. Maybe during a match he might resort to that when you need to score goals, but like I think to start he'll always start with a 4-3-3.
Okay. And there's one thing I also was kind of interested to ask you is that, you know how sometimes we've got like these amazing assets like Mahrez, you know, he gets benched all the time by Pep. You think, you know, Jota gets his 20 to 30 minute cameos. I feel like he can still score in those opportunities. Is there any sort of, you think, validity to starting benched players in Fantrax? Like starting Mahrez or starting Jota? You know, let's say they're playing a very easy opposition as well. You're super upset. Oh, God, why is this guy benched? Like, it would be easy points. Would you risk it for the biscuit?
At the same time, that easy win, like that easy game that you might expect, maybe it might also be because the top 4 and top 6 have such a heavy schedule. Because of that, they might not even come on, or they might come on in like the 89th minute or whatever, right? Just to kind of like, you know, get their legs warmed up and stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm iffy. If I can put together a starting 11 where all my 11 players are starting, then I definitely prefer that. But if I can't, then I'll put someone like Mahrez in who's not starting regularly, Sterling who's not starting regularly, just because then like, okay, like, you know, might come off, but I will always try to go for the starting players is better chance to get me more points.
Okay. Sounds great. Yeah, I don't think I can touch on that Liverpool section more than what Ross has done. Thank you so much for that information, Ross. Alex, thank you so much for your questions, mate. Love how unlucky yet good you are at Fantrax. All right. And final question.
Yeah, last question we have from Ryan Atom. Yo, will Chilwell gonna make a comeback into EPL soon?
So we just talked about that. Keep an eye on the Champions League fixture. See if Alonso starts. I feel like if he does, he will probably, like Chilwell will probably get the Southampton game. And that's really going to be interesting for managers moving into the international break, right? Chilwell starting the game right before that break. Like, people are going to be scrapping around trying to get that handcuff or something. Like, or maybe trade Marcus Alonso high as well, right?
Yeah.
But we don't know what's happening with the international break. Did they mention like squads for England and stuff already? I honestly haven't looked.
I don't think so. They have been announcing squads for like, I think like Wales announced their squad and stuff like that, but I don't see England. I would usually see it on the Liverpool subreddit, but I hadn't seen anything like that yet. So maybe I missed it.
Brazil released theirs. I don't think Bobby is going, is he?
Yeah. Brazil released theirs. I think Argentina also released theirs or something like that. So
interesting.
Which is weird. Usually they're out by now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, Ryan, just keep an eye on that situation, man. And I mean, if you have doubts over the lineups, let's say Chilwell started tonight, then DM us. Let's have a chat. You know, our DMs are always open, listeners. Just message us. We're always happy to interact, and we're always happy to have that, you know, footy chat sort of thing. Okay. Thanks, Ryan, so much for your question. Appreciate it so much. I think now is the perfect time for us to take our halftime coffee.
Yep.
It's too early in the day to drink, so be responsible. Okay, see you in a bit. And we are back. Okay, so let's run through this injury updates really quickly. So at Arsenal, Xhaka's probably going to miss 6 to 8 weeks through a knee injury. Doesn't look really good at the moment. So maybe Sambi might be a good midfield option to kind of go pick up right now. Next at Aston Villa, we've got Leon Bailey, possibly back off the international break. Looked really, really bright. I think he's a decent asset to kind of have on your bench moving forward. Tuanzebe, He didn't play because he faced Manchester United. Ross, do you think Courtney House maybe keeps his spot though after scoring that winner?
I don't know. It's good for them to have those options, right? Because I guess Tyron Mings keeps his options, but like they're kind of playing back three where it's House, Courtney with a K, Konsa, and Tyron Mings and Tuanzebe. So like, if you can get one of them, I think their defense is looking a bit better now.
Yeah, and Matty Cash and Matt Target look like left wingers, right wingers sort of thing. Like they're really, really attacking now. So hopefully if you're a Matty Cash owner, you want that back three. Okay, moving on to Brentford. Pinnock picked up a hip injury in that draw against Liverpool. He is basically their biggest rock at the back, like serious ghost points getter. Hopefully he's not out too long. I don't think it is. So maybe after the international break, you'll have him for sure sort of situation. Then at Brighton, Webster as well could be back after the international break. I know Dan Burn came off at the halftime in that last game versus Crystal Palace. I'm not sure if it was an injury or not, but maybe monitor that situation if you picked up Dan Burn. Bissouma, 50%, has a knee knock. September 27th, it was mentioned he's making decent progress, but the game was coming too soon for them. Maybe they're a bit more hopeful for the fixture against Arsenal, right? In game week 7, the one before the international break. But again, being assessed, they're monitoring it. Welbeck, that guy Welbs, man, keeps picking up injuries all the time. He kind of felt his hamstring, so he might be an option maybe after the international break. I don't think you rush that, right? Even though it's against Arsenal. And, he loves scoring against his old clubs as well. So at Burnley, Cornet, new boy, playing on the left side, took his goal proper, yo. Did you see that finish? That volley?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, he looks a proper Fantrax asset this season. It's unfortunate, though, he came off with a hamstring injury. So, I mean, people might be dropping him. I would suggest maybe grab him if you've got extra spots. If you've got a solid starting lineup and hold him through the international break. You might benefit.
He's an out-of-position player too, right? Like he's listed as a defender and plays in the midfield?
He's listed as a forward, though I think on Wikipedia he's listed as a defender.
Oh, on my Fantrax league, he's listed as a defender.
What? Bro, go pick him up.
Yeah,
because he's basically playing left wing like striker sort of situation. That's crazy.
Yeah. Subban already has him, so
okay.
That's why you...
Right.
Yeah.
Go trade him, fam. Moving on to Vidra and Jay Rodriguez. Vidra has a lower back injury. Might not be able to make this easy game versus Norwich. And yeah, Jay Rodriguez pulled his hamstring as well. He had a really good chance of playing that last fixture, but definitely ruled out, I'd say, versus Norwich now. Moving on to Chelsea. Pulisic, ankle foot injury. Apparently he's training individually, Ross, according to Fantrax.
Yeah, apparently last week he was training individually, just doing light training or whatever. This was their update from last week, and the press conference from Tuchel on like the pre-Champions League game has been like he's gonna come back after the international break.
Yeah, and I feel
why risk him, right?
Yeah, and I feel like it's the same situation with Mount, with Reece James as well. They're just in pain right now, carrying a couple niggles. So again, like you said, why risk it? It's an easy fixture potentially against Southampton, who are struggling to score. So it might be more of a case of getting the other defenders, like maybe Chalobah might be a possible streamer option this week. And Conte got COVID, so we're having a bit of a rough time at Chelsea at the moment. Not fun times. Crystal Palace, there's no real updates because Michael Elise is coming off the bench, getting his minutes, etc. Everton, the likes of Richarlison, Coleman, DCL, check them after the international break. Those guys are still recovering. At Leeds, they've also got a long list of injuries. Struijk, Llorente, Koch, and Ayling, possibly after the international break. I haven't seen an update on Bamford with regards to his ankle injury, though it might be a 50-50 sort of call. Bielsa's a little weird with it. Like, sometimes he's honest, but then he wants to hide it. I don't know. Come on, man. Do your Spygate shit properly. Rafinha, though, he played the last game, but apparently he asked to be substituted. So I think he's carrying something, but he's kind of managing it on his own. So, I mean, as a player, Ross, like, I mean, we're not professionals, but how do you feel about that situation and having him as an asset? Like, would you be worried about him starting versus Watford, or?
I think a player then at the end of the day knows what's best, right? Obviously, you can't do any major decisions on like your own like wellness or like without like kind of like checks from like the team physio or team physio team or whatever. But if you're saying like if it seems like he's kind of managing it on his own, he probably knows what's working for him. He probably knows that, hey, I can play X number of minutes, right? The only time I think it'll hurt is when Bielsa wants him to play the full 90, because why won't you want to play your best player the full 90 minutes? And he's saying he can't. So at that time, then do you kind of interject and be like, no, let's find out a fitness plan. Let's get you fit so then you can play like a full 90 minutes for the team.
And it's probably good for him. He's facing one of the easiest defenses in Watford and then the international breaks, right? So don't be trying to trade him or anything. I think just have the patience with the limited minutes for now because he's still returning. Leicester, they don't have any issues. Evans is back getting minutes and stuff. Probably a proper asset now, especially after the international break. At Liverpool, Thiago has a calf issue, but is there any sort of update with regards to that, Ross?
No, I think it's just like, taking as go. I think after international break is what it's going to look like.
Yeah, I think Keita was on the bench against Porto as well, right? So you do have backup options.
Yeah, Keita made it, it wasn't as bad as I thought.
But we're going to have to mention the saddest news of the week so far. T-Bebe possibly out for 2 to 3 weeks. What's the update there?
All I know is that he's out. He was out for the game against Porto. He's probably out for the game against Man City. It's been described as a sore groin. So it's not any like pull or anything. He was in the team photos and then he wasn't on like the plane to Porto. So hopefully it's not as bad. Hopefully he's back after international break. There's only one game, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully the international break definitely does help him recover. Also an advantage for Liverpool as a team to not be able to send players on international break and get like injuries aggravated even more.
So who do you think takes that right back spot? Because I know James Milner started versus Porto. He got a bit of an early substitution. I don't really trust Nico Williams. What do you think happens there?
I think it is, had there not been an early substitution, I think it is James Milner because of that.
Okay, cool.
Like,
all right, so something to note. If he's a free agent, maybe go pick him up. Because he took corners and stuff. Share them with Tsimikas, that one match.
Yeah.
So Man City, Gundogan, I think he has a knock, possibly back after the international break. But, do you really trust Pep and his comments? So keep an eye on that. Manchester United, Rashford, yo. Update on September 27th. Happy Monday. He saw the doctor. Everything apparently looks good. And he's possibly going to get the green light to join in contact training again. So if you got Rashford late in your draft, I think you have a possible gem on your hands moving forward.
Yes.
Hey, you also picked him up? Hey, I picked him up. Oh,
yeah.
See, great minds,
like 9th or something? 8th or something?
Wow. You got him super late, bro. I got him in like the 5th or 6th round. Wow. You definitely won there. But I think the big news as well for Manchester United is Harry Maguire apparently picked up a calf injury and it looks like he could be out for a few weeks. How do you think that affects Varane as a fantasy asset?
I don't know. I think Lindelof can hopefully slot in. It's just about that vocality that Harry Maguire brings in as a player, right? He is their team captain. Hopefully then Bruno kind of picks it up and Ronaldo kind of picks it up on those pieces. But yeah, that's mostly it. Like, I think you just need to make sure how you replace that leadership on the pitch. And I think Bruno is a more vocal player than Harry Maguire is, or gets a bit more respect from what I've seen. You don't have players yelling back to him saying you knobhead or whatever. So
hey, it's slabhead, okay?
So yeah, like I think that's the bigger thing rather than like the defense thing. I think Lindelof can slot in pretty well into that second center back role.
Okay, and Luke Shaw came off early in that game versus Aston Villa. Matty Cash absolutely ran him into the ground. Do we have any updates there?
I think Ole said that like he didn't really get a chance to train with the team, but it doesn't look as bad as it thought. Fantrack says he might be on the bench, but he definitely won't start. Okay.
Let's move on to Newcastle then. So Callum Wilson has a thigh injury that he's still working through, and Dubravka is also coming back from an ankle-foot injury. I think we might see those players on the other side of the international break, so have some patience with them.
Yeah.
So at Norwich, Cantwell apparently missed the whole week's training due to a personal problem. So I might be a little concerned if you actually regularly start him, which I hope you don't. God damn it. Please don't be starting Cantwell as a regular in your starting 11. But yeah, I say maybe look at it after the international break. Norman, though, he was on that injury list, but he said he's just kind of getting used to the tempo of the league, and he looks a decent asset at the moment. Maybe one of the best midfield options for Norwich.
Exactly, he does. Keep an eye out on our picks later on.
There you go. Southampton. Again, I don't know if we touched this last week, but Jack Stevens, he's out for 10 to 12 weeks. So if you own him, drop him. He's not going to be playing for a little while. At Spurs, Bergwijn might be coming back from his ankle foot injury, though monitor that situation. If Nuno gets fired and they get a new manager, who knows what the system's going to be like, right? If Moura and Bergwijn even feature at all, who knows? Then we can move on to Watford. Bachmann, I know, had a knee injury. That's why Foster's kind of playing in net. And I do kind of hope Foster plays in net because then we get more of his YouTube videos. Have you been watching any of his videos?
I see clips here and there. Like he plays FPL pretty regularly, and then he was like, "I have the 3 greatest FPL lineup ever, strikers ever," and he goes like, "I have Ronaldo, Lukaku, and Harry Kane, and that might be the best FPL forward lineup ever."
He doesn't have Mo Salah?
No, well, Mo Salah's a midfielder.
Yeah,
so.
but you know that's a cheat code. And Cleverly apparently had a bit of a concussion knock, so one to monitor. If you own Cleverly, you know, he's a bit of a set piece taker in that side. And finally at Wolves, Ait Nouri, I think, might be coming back from concussion. I have a feeling he could possibly replace Marcel, just because of Marcel's WWE tactics versus Ivan Toney.
Sanjeev, we did miss West Ham, but I don't think there were any big injury scares or updates there. I think the only player they have out is Ryan Fredericks, but he doesn't regularly start, so...
Listen, my boy got me, you know. My boy knows all the info, yo. Love it. All right, I think now we can move on to our last section, the FA/waiver picks. So, listeners, if you're new to the section, we basically just talk about under 50% owned players. You know, there's a chance that you can pick them up as a free agent or on the waiver wire. And yeah, it's better we talk about these sort of assets than people that you already own. That's boring. Who the hell wants to do that? All right, Ross, I think we can get started. I'm going to take the home fixtures. Unfortunately, both Chelsea and Liverpool are playing home. I'm sorry about that.
It's okay.
I didn't realize that. But yeah, and you'll take the away fixtures. So I'll kick us off. Scott McTominay, first fixture up, Manchester United versus Everton. If you need a midfielder, maybe a 5th or 6th midfielder, he's back in the fold, putting up decent ghosties. If he's playing an easier team, he might reward you with a goal. This kid used to play as striker before, loves a shot. So, you know, possible punt if you're struggling for midfield options. I do want to give a couple of shout outs to Alex Tellers, 2% owned, and Diago Dolo, 0% owned. If Luke Shaw is struggling, these guys are possible gems to have in your squad just for maybe this game week or maybe moving forward. We don't know how long Luke Shaw might be out for. But I would say these guys are worth gambling on because Tellers is good at corners as well. So, and Dalo, I think, was on the accurate crosses, right? When we did the data dump. So there is a bit of creativity from him. What about at Everton?
I think the main player that kind of pops up is Yerry Mina, 16%. You know, seems a bit clean sheet dependent for the most part. But you know what? Man United are not so great at home. So Rafa might have an axe to pick with them too, so...
Oh, man. Wouldn't that be sweet to have right before the international break a Rafa win at Old Trafford? Yeah, bring it on. Okay, next game, Burnley versus Norwich. So the players I'm going to suggest from Burnley are Cornet. I know he's injured, 25% owned, but if it isn't too bad, I would suggest rostering him through the international break and see how he kind of holds up. Then we've got Matty Lowton and Charlie Taylor, 15% owned and 11% owned. So the reason I'm suggesting these guys is because they're playing Norwich. So there's always a chance that these guys could get a clean sheet. And we've seen Charlie Taylor. He is able to get key passes. He's able to get accurate crosses into the box. He might feed the likes of Chris Wood. So, you know, it's a possible gem there. I think you can afford to pick these guys up. So what about at Norwich, Russ?
So, like Sanjeev mentioned before, Matthias Antonsen Norman, 5% owned. He's been putting up good points without any goals and assists. Billy G, I know Sanjeev mentioned last time, but he didn't start against Everton and he didn't play, but he's still 33% owned. If he starts, he has been putting up good numbers, so keep an eye out for that too.
Okay, so the next fixture is Chelsea versus Southampton. So The player I'm going to suggest is, again, with grains of salt, these two players, Cho 12% owned and RLC 1% owned. So hear me out. Reece James is out injured. There's always a chance that Cho gets a spot at the right wing back position, because I noticed that Aspi has lost a lot of his pace. He's a bit older now, so I feel like his ability to recover, he might struggle a bit, right? And there's also Chalobah to play right centre back, so who knows what Tuchel is gonna do. And the reason I suggest RLC is right now Chelsea's attack, it doesn't look the best right now. I feel like we're struggling to provide Lukaku like good chances, and Mason Mount is out injured. So when RLC came on as a sub, he looked really, really bright, I thought. Like he was taking on defenders, trying to create something, even got 2.5 ghost points. So if there's a slight chance that RLC starts, I feel like you can afford to punt on him versus a Southampton team. Ras, what about at Southampton?
So 3 of my picks are defenders, and you are going up against Chelsea. But Southampton have shown a pretty resilient defense in the last few game weeks.
Agreed.
Especially like if you look at a couple game weeks back against Man City, they, held them to a 0-0. Chelsea, like Man City, are also struggling for goals at the moment. So, like, Bednarak, 12% owned. Livramento can play against Chelsea. He's been sold, right? He's not going on loan.
Yeah, he's got sold, yeah. We have an option to buy back, though, so...
Yeah, so Livramento, 40% owned. There won't be that parent club issue. Kyle Walker-Peters, 17%. If you are looking for maybe an attacking option, Nathan Redmond, if he starts, he's putting up decent numbers. Maybe he can sneak one past Chelsea. You never know. So
yeah, I feel like the last time we played against them, Nathan Redmond scored against us. So yeah, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if there's an upset in this fixture. Okay, next game, Leeds versus Watford. The player I'll suggest is Liam Cooper, 41% owned. I know Leeds is terrible at the back, but because of their lack of defenders, I feel like Liam Cooper is doing all the work and he's getting all the ghost points. So if you're brave enough against a Watford team who isn't the best, I want to say, go for Liam Cooper. What about at Watford?
Yeah, so Josh King, still 39% owned. I'm surprised he's that low. Ben Foster and Danny Rose, both 44% owned. Leeds are one of the lowest
44
attacking
or 4%
team.
owned?
4%.
I was
both
about
of them
to be
are
like,
4%
why
owned.
do so many people have Danny Rose?
Yeah, and Ben Foster does it for his YouTube videos, so there's an extra bonus for him to kind of show the saves.
Yeah.
So, but I think they have a decent chance of keeping a clean sheet against Leeds. They might have a decent chance of keeping a clean sheet against Leeds, or if not, Leeds does tend to is conceding goals a bit more, and Danny Rose might take a part in that if he starts. So keep an eye out on those picks.
I would go more Foster than Danny Rose, just because I feel like Watford have a lot of errors in their back line, and if that happens, we know Foster's a good shot stopper, right? So you might be safe there if you can't get any other goalkeeper. Okay, next game, Wolves versus Newcastle. Players I'm going to suggest, Saiz, 44% owned, and Ait Nouri, 8% owned. So Saiz, good ghost points, is an added bonus when they keep the lucky-ass clean sheets that they keep. Because I still think Wolves aren't convincing at the back. I still feel like teams can score against them. But the reason I went with Ait Nouri 8% is the gut feeling that I feel like Marcel could be dropped eventually. And Ait Nouri also has attacking threat. He might not be the best crosser of the ball, but he's one of those players that drives into the box and likes to take a shot, etc. So keep an eye on that situation. What about at Newcastle?
Joel Linton, 17%. Newcastle seem to he plays on the a right wing or left wing, and ASM plays up top, but it seems to be working for them. They're still able to score goals. They just need to keep it a bit more tighter at the back. And again, Matt Ritchie, he is a bit yellow card friendly. He does tend to pick up the yellow cards
yellow
here
card
and
happy.
there.
It's not friendly
happy.
at all.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, but he still puts up decent numbers. He had 11 points in the last game without a goal and an assist. So
yeah, because he has all those set pieces and corner duties, right? So it's just racking up those key passes. I wouldn't be surprised if he's top 5 players for key passes or something like that. Okay, final fixture on the Saturday. Brighton versus Arsenal. The players I'm going to suggest are their wing backs. Cucurella 48% owned and Veltman 35% owned. Veltman got the assist for that Morpé goal. So I know he has proven attacking threat in the EPL already. And Cucurella just looks a gem of a player, to be honest. Though I feel like Veltman has better ghosties. So I would go Veltman before Cucurella. Ross, what about at Arsenal?
I'm gonna shout out their goalie and one of their defenders, man. Arsenal look a much again, yeah, they've gone up against Burnley, Norwich, and Spurs, who are hugging that bottom of that table and bottom of those stats that we were kind of discussing for Tottenham. But at the same time, like, they do seem to have some energy in them. They're playing their very young core midfielder, the Saka, Odegaard, and Emil Smith Rowe with Alba up top, and it does seem to help them. Having Partey back is definitely helpful. Ramsdale's distribution is a lot better. He doesn't seem to have that odd mistake in him that Berlano did, and I think it's just looking a bit better for Arsenal. It is still Arsenal at the end of the day, so you still want to give it against decent opposition, what Brighton are showing to be. So maybe this might be a good test for them since the run of the 2 losses that they had at the start of the season. So maybe this might be the season turner in the sense, right? Like the actual test that they've had so far.
Yeah, I think it's a great shout for a clean sheet because let's not forget, Brighton got their goal in like the final minute against Crystal Palace. And it's a Crystal Palace defense. I mean, yeah, the data shows that they've been kind of good at the back, etc. But I feel like you should be able to score against Palace, right? I don't know. Okay. Next game, speak of the devil, Crystal Palace versus Leicester. And this is the first of 3 kickoffs on the Sunday, all at the same time, before that massive fixture at the end. But yeah, Crystal Palace versus Leicester. Michael Olise, 38% owned. Guaita, 34% owned. Again, if you need a goalkeeper, Guaita's been putting up some decent points recently. He might have the odd clean sheet in him as well. The reason I suggest Olise, I know he's not starting, but once this kid starts, them points going to start coming in, I feel, because he looks a proper player via the eye test. What about at Leicester?
I think the only player that's kind of available and like he's had a couple of starts but no 90 minutes yet, or he hasn't played a full 90, and Soumare, the man from Lille, 5% owned. I think it's just a matter of building fitness to get adjusted to the physicality and like the pace of the Premier League, but I think they might be a regular starter once he kind of gets up to that pace, especially with like the rotation that will happen before with the Europa League games for Leicester. I think Soumare might get a bit more minutes in the Premier League.
Okay, next game, Spurs versus Aston Villa. I don't have anyone to suggest from Spurs, not because they're playing a bunch of shit right now or because Nunes possibly going to get fired, but because they're under 50% assets. Like, I don't like them, and I don't want to suggest bad assets just for the sake of suggesting assets. What about Aston Villa?
Number one, and Sanjeev, both you and I kind of have this agreement on like Douglas Luiz. I personally don't like him as an asset, and I know Sanjeev, you are not really fond of him as an asset, but he's taking corners and he's getting assists from those corners. So if you think he can kind of keep that up with the likes of Courtney, who's 2% owned, and Konsa, who's 29% owned, and Tyrone Mings, who are very big aerial threats, if you can kind of keep that up with these defenders, then like possibly, he can get an assist here and there, but that's all his points though. He gets points when he's getting assists. Like I said, Konsa and Konsa 29% owned, Courtney with a K 2% owned. They seem to be kind of like, depending on if Tuanzebe comes back, but one of them might be available for you to pick up. So
yeah, and I mean the likes of Buendia being benched, right? I feel like when Buendia comes back into the side, he's gonna take back the set pieces and corners. So maybe Douglas Luiz is a trade high sort of situation right now. Okay, next game, West Ham versus Brentford. West Ham, all their good assets are over 50% owned. No one to really suggest from here. And I love the Hammers. I would have loved to give you a player. What about at Brentford?
Janelt, 17% owned. Trucking along. Solid midfield player.
That's way too low.
I'm surprised he's owned.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll reconfirm, but maybe that's the average points that he got.
That's crazy if it's that low. Wow.
Yeah, no, Janelt 17% owned. His ownership has gone up 8%. So my next pick would be Pontus Janssen, 48% owned. Also another solid midfielder. these guys are getting these points, and finally Mbuemo 36% owned. You're going up against a West Ham defense that isn't the best right now. So, possible chance for, and it is a London derby. So, things will always be high. And, Brentford, they scored 3 past the best defense last week. So they might be able to put past 1 or 2 against West Ham.
Great shouts, man. Okay. Liverpool versus Manchester City. Final fixture in the game week. Ross, before we talk about the picks, how are you feeling about this fixture, especially with the TAA news coming out?
I think with the TAA news, it is a bit unfortunate because I think our ability to switch play with Trent playing is just phenomenal. And like that really does tend to keep that really does help against a team like City who press really high and are played at such a back high line. So being able to kind of find that ball, but I trust in, you build in injuries when you're planning for this season. And this might be one of those things. So with the fact that City are struggling to score, I am looking forward to the game. It will be at home. It will be like the first game with the fans back where we're playing Man City. So the crowd will be on it. We love playing against Man City at home. So I just hope the fans will be our 12th person and just bring it home for us.
And do you think maybe it comes as a blessing because Milner is, I want to say, better defensively than TAA. So it kind of does work in your favor. And I mean, Mo Salah looks out of this world right now. A brace in the Champions
I know, man.
League, right?
Exactly. Like Mo Salah is probably the best player in the Premier League at the moment. Maybe that's my Liverpool bias, but I don't care. I think he's the best player in the Premier League so far this season.
Like the data indicates that you guys have basically the best attack in the league at the moment, right?
Exactly. So I'm really looking forward to this game if we can keep up that defense. But their defense has still been shored up, and it's still kind of doing its thing. So
funny enough, City actually has best defense in the league according to the data. So best attack versus best defense. It's going to be quite a fascinating watch.
So what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object sort of situation, right?
Exactly.
So
well
let's see what happens.
So the picks I'm going to suggest from Liverpool: Jordan Henderson, 43% owned. I think he's nailed now given the Harvey Elliott injury. I combined his names into one. But yeah,
Harliot.
He's getting accurate crosses into the box. I think it kind of unlocks Jota's potential as well because Jota seems better to score with his head than his feet. Joe Gomez, 17% owned. Grain of salt. I think Joe Gomez shifted to the right back position when James Milner came off. So don't know if there's a chance maybe Gomez plays versus City, though he hasn't played a lot this season, right? Why risk it versus Man City? Curtis Jones, 15% owned, I think is another great pickup as well because Keita is just coming back fresh from injury, and Curtis Jones looked really, really good against PSG, right? 3 assists, one of them being a fantasy assist, and he was quite trigger happy in that game as well. Final pick, James Milner, 7% owned, filling in for TAA. He's probably going to take some corners. I know he's a midfield option. He's not going to be in your defense, so keep an eye on that. I would say move early though, rather than later, because as soon as those lineups come up, trust me, people are going to grab them. What about Manchester City?
I think the only pick that kind of works out is Nathan Ake, but that's only if he starts. He's just 15% owned. The duo that played in the Champions League was Laporte and Dias, so possible start knowing Pep Roulette, so keep an eye out on those lineups, to be honest, unless you already have Laporte or Stones and want to just pick up Ake if you can, just to kind of be safe. And then when the lineups come out, this will be the last game though, so it might also be one of those things where you want to, if you want to go pick up James Milner instead of Ake, you pick up Ake now, and then you see James Milner starting, and then you go pick James Milner then, right? So
yeah, and it's interesting, you say it's the last fixture. A lot of managers, I'm sure, own a lot of assets from these heavy-hitting teams, right? So you want to be careful how you're setting your lineup, and you don't screw yourself over that you're forced to bench a good asset, or you can't start a certain asset from your bench because of, the formation restrictions, right? You can't play certain formations in this game versus like FPL. Like, I think in FPL you can play like a 5-2-3, but you can't do that in Fantrax. So be very mindful and kind of try to plan that out. Make sure that, if you don't think this player is going to start, have an asset from that same fixture so you can kind of swap them, right? And you're not screwed over. You have a full playing 11. Other than that, Ross,
Yep.
I think we've given them enough information to survive their game week 7 with our picks.
Hopefully.
And yeah, that's all we had planned for the pod. Any final thoughts before you ship out for the rest of the week?
No, like I'm just looking forward to the Liverpool Man City. I think this would be Chelsea was our first test, and hopefully we bounce back from that 3-3 of last week. But playing Man City at home is always such a great game for us. So hopefully we kind of keep that up.
So you can potentially go into the international break top of the league.
6 points clear, hopefully. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, man. I feel like people are probably sleeping on Liverpool as potential title winners, you know?
And I hope they keep too.
Yeah, you guys are showing some great form. Yeah, I don't really have anything to say. Final question I have for you. I got an FPL draft trade from our Ryan who pods with us. He's asking TAA. He's offering VVD. What would you do?
Nah, fam. He'll miss one game, but he'll be back the next. So, nah.
And you'll instantly regret it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right, Russ. I think we're good. We're gonna probably plan some special pods during the international break. Russ might have something up his sleeve. We don't know, but
let's see. Yeah, let's see what happens.
Yeah, if not,
we'll see kind of what we can do.
Yeah, because if we don't pod, I will probably be moving to the UK. So if we don't hear from you until game week 8, listeners, be safe. Stay sanitized. We're still in COVID situations, so be careful. We love you. Thanks for all your support and listens, and we will see you on the next pod. Peace.